In a competitive market, more buyers are using the Appraisal Gap Addendum to make their offer stand out. This form is a little tricky to understand at first, so my hope in this video is to break it down in a way that makes sense for my clients who are shopping right now, and also to prepare buyers who are getting ready to write offers. I want to start off by saying thank you for being here. It means a lot to me that people are finding my videos helpful. I am a realtor here in Clark County, Washington, and I make a new video every week on life and real estate. This week we are diving deep into the real estate part. Before I forget, take a moment to like my video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video. Click that bell so you get a reminder to watch videos as they come out. So what is this form that I'm talking about? It's officially called the Increased Down Payment for Low Appraisal, but most commonly it's referred to as an Appraisal Gap Clause. Let's make up a pretend scenario. Obviously, you are the home buyer. We just saw a home that came on the market for $550,000 and you're in love with it. The house is fully updated. It has a huge fully fenced backyard. It's in the perfect school district. You desperately want your kids to be there. You are motivated. We know that there are other offers and you decide you want to offer $583,000. I tell you we should use the additional down payment form or appraisal gap because it's going to make our offer stronger. An appraisal gap is the difference between the appraised value of the home and the purchase price in the sales contract. An appraisal gap clause is used in the purchase and sales agreement to guarantee that the home buyer will cover the monetary gap between the appraisal and the sales contract price if the appraisal does not come in at the sales price. To understand the appraisal gap clause, you have to understand the basics of an appraisal. An appraisal is an opinion of value by a licensed real estate appraiser. Every sales contract between a buyer and a seller has a purchase price. The bank is agreeing to lend money to the buyer for the purchase of the home, assuming the property appraises at value. Banks hire licensed appraisers to offer their professional opinion on what a home is worth. This process is a safeguard to safeguard the mortgage company from lending too much money for an asset that may not be worth that price. Since appraisals are opinions, they have a margin of error. You may hire 3 separate appraisers for the same property and receive 3 different estimates of value. Per the financing addendum, if the appraisal is less than the sales price, then the seller has 4 options. They can order a reappraisal that's at the seller's expense. Appraisals are about $700. Sellers are not very excited about this option usually. And also, if that reappraisal does come in at value, the lender doesn't even have to use it. They can still opt to not accept it. Option 2, the seller can consent to reduce the price to the appraised value or reappraisal of value, whichever is greater. Option 3, seller can reduce the purchase price to an amount more than the appraised value, and then the buyer has to pay the additional funds to close, or else the seller can just reject the low appraisal. In 3 out of 4 of the above options, the seller is losing money. If the seller chooses option 4, the buyer has the right to terminate the agreement and they just get their earnest money back. Good for the buyer. If we are writing an offer over asking, there's a strong possibility that we will have a problem with the appraisal. The seller wants an offer that gets him the most money with the least amount of risk. By using the additional down payment addendum, we are agreeing in advance to bring additional funds to closing in the case of low appraisal. Because remember, the bank is only going to give you enough money to borrow for the appraised price. This addendum states that if the buyer's lender's appraised value of the property is less than the purchase price, the buyer shall pay additional funds up to a certain amount to close the sale. So where do these additional funds come from? Either you are restructuring your loan, so instead of putting $100,000 down, now you're putting $80,000 down. Or you have additional funds to close in a different account somewhere. This additional down payment goes directly to the seller. It does not count towards your down payment. The bank will only provide financing for your home up to the appraised value. In this scenario, you have $150,000 as your down payment. After a lot of consideration, you decided to do a full appraisal gap. You don't have to do the full thing, but in this scenario, you're doing it. $33,000 as an additional down payment in the case of a low appraisal. That guarantees a sales price of $583,000 to the seller, and if that appraisal comes in low, you're saying you're going to bring the difference to closing. In this scenario, the appraisal comes in at the asking price at $550,000, and that is $33,000 lower than the sales price. You talk to your lender and decide to reduce your down payment to $117,000, and the additional $33,000 is going directly to the seller. By the way, let's talk about the difference in your mortgage payment and this $33,000 that you just gave to the seller. I'm going to give you 2 scenarios, and both are using a pretend but realistic interest rate of 3.125%. Scenario 1, appraisal comes in at value. That means the appraisal came at the sales price on the purchase and sales contract, And that sales price, your loan is based off of that $583,000 sales price, and you're doing $150,000 down. Your monthly payment is going to be $2,318. Scenario 2, the appraisal comes in low. If the appraisal comes in low at $550,000, then your new sales price for the lender is now that same amount because you're bringing that additional $33,000 for the seller. So now you're putting $117,000 down, and your monthly payment goes up by $142 to $2,460. That's it. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, call me and we can talk it through. My phone number is in the description below and also in the header. If you'd like a flyer explaining this appraisal gap, just use the link in the description to reach out and I will get that to you. All right, have a wonderful day.